Kia ora all, and welcome to the Huddy Hui, episode 64. And we've got two guests on tonight. And our first one is, we're lucky to have him. He plays for the Tasman Mako in the NPC, also the Waikato Chiefs, and he's also a Maori All Black, is Alex Nankivell. Alex, many thanks for coming on the Hui this evening. What happened against Otago last weekend, and what are the work-ons that the Mako have taken from that game?
It was a bit of an interesting one looking back on it. We probably didn't really turn up with the right mindset, to be honest, and Otago come at a breakdown pretty hard and played really well and put us under a lot of pressure. So it's tough to come back against good teams when you do that to yourself in the first half. But we had our opportunities, I guess, in the second half, and we did have a bit more intent around the collision and actually playing the space. So it was pretty much come down to our mindset. We lost the collision, and so Otago did a really good job to dominate us there.
Tasman have won 2 NPC titles of late, and 2 this year. It's a whole new coaching group, and currently you've got 8 players out in the All Black squad. What are the challenges facing the Mako this season?
I guess probably just like new combinations. There's guys that are coming in key positions, and a lot of us haven't played a lot of rugby together this year, so I guess that happens. Like, players are going to move on, and you've just got to make do and adapt to what the cards you're dealt. So I guess it's probably that. Like, we've got awesome coaches, and they do a really good job to prepare us every week and nail our details. So I think that'll probably be the main thing, just how we gel together and if we can kind of put it out on the field.
Tasman formed in 2006, a joining of Nelson and Marlborough. Struggled early on. The experiment didn't look like it was going to work. But now Tasman is a powerhouse and up there with the top in New Zealand rugby. What was the turnaround to make these two bitter rivals work with each other?
It's probably a little bit of an interesting one. From what I've heard, that they scraped together a pretty decent side with guys that weren't really wanted from kind of other areas, especially from Canterbury and whatnot over the early years around 2010, 11. But they actually did a pretty decent job, and I think the beauty of Tasman is, if you've kind of been around it, you know that we've got a pretty unique culture, and it's pretty special to be a part of. And I think that's probably been the main driver, like the passion that the boys have to play for the team and play for one another probably got them through early on there. And then I guess with success comes attraction for younger guys and guys outside the region to come in, join the team and be a part of it, as well as some of the players that are coming through in the region wanting to stay in Nelson and play for the Mako. So, combination of those things, I think, mate.
Over 60 games for the Mako, and in your early career, you had developed a strong connection with Leon McDonald. Tell us about Leon McDonald and his development in your journey as a professional rugby player.
Yeah, obviously attention to detail, and obviously the career he had kind of speaks for himself. Like, the attention to detail he has in the small aspects of the game, technically and tactically, he's a clever man. So just learning, I guess, from him, and he taught me a lot around, especially in the midfield. I'd only played 1 year at second 5 coming into the Mako in 2015. So just teach me things that you probably don't really think about, that just make you a bit more whole-rounded as a player, and then just giving you confidence to play. But I guess probably the attention to detail really stands out. He's a really clever man.
What was behind your move to Tasman? Because you played most of your rugby in Christchurch.
Yeah, so I've always kind of like my mindset around my rugby career has always been like wanting to play rugby. Like, I don't really want to sit around behind people. I just wanted to play rugby, and like, as rugby players, kind of that's what you want to do at the end of the day. So I could see kind of in Canterbury that like they've got an awesome depth chart, and that's probably why they've been so successful for so many years. If someone gets injured, the next guy comes in, and they're normally pretty good players. So I wasn't too keen to sit in the ranks for too long, and I got offered a full contract at Tasman out of school as an 18-year-old. And having watched them play kind of 2014, 2013, and seen the style of rugby they played, and seeing the success they had on the field, and then experiencing a little bit of the off-field culture when I had a visit during my last year of school. I just kind of wanted to be a part of that, and having the opportunity to play, I guess, straight out of school was a pretty unique experience at the time. So, yeah.
You're a product of the rugby factory that is Christchurch Boys High School, which has a very strong rugby history. Tell us how this is built into the character of the college.
I pretty much from day one, you turn up, and you can. It's just like a feeling. You've got all the rugby memorabilia on the walls when you walk into the main building there. You see all the All Blacks names, and I guess that's really a feature of that. You kind of, the first thing you see is that when you walk in, and obviously you hear it, being living in Canterbury, like they just rugby mad down there. So everyone talks about what high school you're going to and the success they've had at that college level. So yeah, they just live and breathe it there. And then when you make the first 15, you're just like looked upon as this kind of, I don't know, like an idol pretty much. So seeing guys like Fletcher Smith, Anton Leonard-Brown and the years above me, looking up to those guys, I was like, yeah, I want to do that. And yeah, they just love it.
And of course, you got to be part of the 2013 team, and that was a very successful first 15 that year. You won the Christchurch competition, also the South Island title. Tell us about that season.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah, well, it kind of speaks for itself, really. We didn't really have like, there's probably not really too many big names coming out of it, but we're just all really good mates, and we just love playing footy. And we had some good coaches there in Researchable, Mike Jury, and they did a really good job just getting the boys around each other. And yeah, it was just so much fun. It's probably the funnest rugby I've ever played. And that's kind of the reason why I play the game, was just to have fun with my mates. So you're doing that every week, and we just developed a really good culture and whatnot. So we were able to win a lot of games and do really well.
Tell us about Mike Jury. I had the pleasure of meeting Mike last year at a history teachers conference. He's been a real inspiration in your rugby journey.
Yeah, he has. He's an awesome man and a good mate of mine to this day. And we keep in touch most months. He'll be giving me a message and seeing what I'm up to, and we catch up when we can. And I think just like having good people around you to motivate you and keep you honest, keep you humble, is really important. And yeah, just make you want to turn up and play for him because he's such a good bugger.
You've developed two great relationships with two Mako players, Finlay Christie and Will Jordan. Used to all pretty good at pretty much rugby and cricket.
Not me. Will was an exceptional cricketer. I can't remember how many years he played in the first 11, but yeah, he's a freak, mate. He's awesome at golf too, and he's just this natural ability to pick up sports, and you can see it in his when he plays rugby. Like, he can just read the game so well, and his vision's pretty second to none. You don't really see that from many players, being able to read play and just get on the end of line breaks and whatnot. So yeah, he's a pretty special bloke.
How did the move to the Chiefs come about?
So my first year at Tasman in 2015, Kieran Kane was the coach. So he was there, and then he moved on. That was his last year at Tasman that year, and he moved on to coaching the Chiefs, being assistant coach up there. And we always had a pretty good relationship, me and KK. And he said if in the future, like if I ever need like an opportunity or something, that he'll keep an eye on me and try and get me up there. So that was kind of the connection I had with him. And then Dave Rennie gave me a call, and at the end of 2016, and it was just one of those things again, like it was an opportunity to play rugby at a Super Rugby level, so couldn't really turn it down.
And tell us about the culture at the Chiefs, because there's a real emphasis on team and unity, and also Maori culture as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's a pretty unique culture, like especially with all that Maori kind of aspect to it. You do a lot of singing, and a lot of tea kind of things are done properly around it. So yeah, it's definitely unique. It's probably something you have to kind of experience yourself to understand what it's like. But I think that just adds to the culture, having that kind of Maori connection in the community and whatnot. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
And this season, you had a really strong season in the midfield. There was a few chop and changes of injuries, particularly to Anton Leonard-Brown, but you really developed as a midfield player this season. You must have been close to All Blacks selection. What possibly did you miss out and why?
I think probably just my consistency in my decision making and making errors. So like I found I did a lot of good things, but I'd often let it slide from kind of not being mentally engaged fully in the game and making an error that is just not needed. So unforced errors and things like that. So I guess when you go to that All Blacks level, you can't really afford to make errors because you just put your team under pressure and potentially could cost you the game. So just focusing on being better and fully engaged in the game so that I'm not making those errors and things like that.
What are the key qualities that a midfielder needs to take into the professional game?
I think you've definitely got to have a balanced skill set, but probably the biggest thing I've learned probably the last few years, and like if you watch Anton Leonard-Brown, Jack Goodhue play, like just the work rate that they have, and it might not necessarily be noticed by the public when you're watching the game, but the work off the ball to even reload into position quickly or look to get second touches and just things like that. So I'll definitely try to add that to my game this year, working off the ball and trying to get my hands on the ball a bit more and just working hard for the boys.
We do have a young up-and-coming midfielder here in the capital city who's also one of our guests on the Hui tonight. Francis Mettrick, you're joining the call. Have you got any questions you'd like to ask Alex Nankivell?
How did you find the pressure moving from college rugby into more professional rugby?
I guess probably it's more, I guess there's higher stakes in a way, like you're playing professionally and at the end of the day, it's all results based. So for me, it was like, I went into games not wanting to make mistakes because of that. But at the end of the day, if you're there for a reason, it's just trying to get your head around the fact that trusting your ability and thinking like that probably makes it almost worse and you're not playing to your full potential. So it is definitely a lot higher, but I think it's through experience and getting used to it and the practice that you do during the week helps a lot with that.
Of course, Alex, you've also made the Maori All Blacks. You debuted for them in 2019. Tell us about the Maori All Blacks because it's a unique team.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty awesome to be a part of. Like it's really crazy. Like the boys have a good time and there's a real good balance around the training you do, but you also have a lot of fun around it. So I think that's why they play such an awesome style of rugby too. Like they just express themselves and yeah, it's pretty special to be a part of. Learning a lot about Maori culture as I haven't been really done much growing up and whatnot. So yeah, it's very special, mate.
And of course, mentioning about Maori culture, what is your iwi?
So I'm Ngāti Pikia, which is Lake Rotorua, so Lake Rotoiti, the lake next to it. So that's my lake there, and my marae just up the road there. So Bay of Plenty.
The Test series against Ireland, you won the first Test. What happened in Wellington in the second?
Yeah, so we went into that game just wanting to express ourselves, and our mindset was pretty much just to throw the ball around and have a crack. And the weather in Wellington that night wasn't too flash. We did give ourselves a few opportunities to score tries and whatnot, but probably the weather, few handling errors, and potentially overplaying a little bit too much as well was almost a little bit detrimental to us and probably put ourselves under a bit too much pressure with it. And Ireland actually capitalised on a couple of them. So, yeah.
What do you do outside of rugby and within the community?
So outside of rugby, up until this year, I was doing my business degree at Waikato University. So I was doing that. And then I've got a relationship with Cure Kids, which is a charity who pretty much just get funding for kids health research in New Zealand. So try and help them out where I can, and just pretty much just spread awareness to the people around what they're trying to do and try and raise funds for them. Yeah.
I also believe that yourself and your family are pretty good at wine as well.
Yeah. So the old man's he's actually just sold it, but he's got a winery. He had a winery down in Waipara, North Canterbury there. So that was always his passion. He's a school teacher, and then he moved down to Christchurch for a job down there, but ended up buying a piece of land and chucking a few grapes on it. So it's pretty cool being around him when he's drinking wine. He tells you all about the taste and the smells and whatnot, but I've still got no idea.
So you're away this weekend to North Harbour, and who are the players that Tasman need to look out for this Saturday in the North Harbour team?
Yeah, there's a few in that team actually. If you watch their game against Manawatu, you would have seen how dominant their back three were. Tavita Lee, Mark Talia, Sean Stevenson. So I guess trying to nullify them by taking their time and space away and kick the ball to them so they can't run potentially. But yeah, shooters on fire, is making line breaks left, right, and centre. So yeah, it'll be a big task for us, but that'll be good.
And the following weekend, you're up against Canterbury, and they often refer to you as Canterbury B, but you've had the number over them the last few years. It's really turned into a real grudge match, that one between the two Crusaders rivals. Yeah,
it has, and it's always good playing them. I guess just with how close the two provinces are, and like the boys know each other really well. So it's pretty furious game when you play them. It's always really tough. And it's always really close. So definitely looking forward to playing those boys over in Blenheim, because no one likes travelling to Blenheim and playing. So,
no. Well, if it's anything like your game against Southland, that was hard work. So anyway, Alex, many thanks for coming on the Hui, and all the best this weekend.
No worries. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. Good luck to you too, bro.
Cheers, boss.
Well, Francis Mettrick is our second guest on the Hui this evening, and what a weekend it is for Wellington First 15 rugby. Most people call it probably the Catholic bashing between the two Marist Fathers schools. Silverstream taking on St. Pat's Town, and Francis Mettrick plays in the midfield for the First 15. Francis, many thanks for coming on the Hui. What a semi-final against Wellington College. Around half-time, you were trailing 20 points to 5. What was the turnaround at half-time?
No, yeah, cheers for having me on here today. At halftime, we had a big talk with our coaches, and part of that talk was just the realization that we had put so much hard work into the season, and we didn't want it just to get all taken away just from this one game. And some of the boys knew that some of the older boys knew that since it was our last year's playing First 15 together, this could possibly be one of our last games, and we just really didn't want that to happen. So sort of knuckled down, managed to scrape our way back into the game, and then finally got the end result, which was well worked for from the boys, because coming back from such a lead is not a easy thing to do. So yeah, I was really proud of the boys that game.
Let's talk about that match-winning try. And what were the emotions like when you saw your lock, Ben Higgs, go over and score?
Our locks have been putting in quite hard work. Him and both Ben and Charlie. They're great units, part of the team. And so basically when I genuinely thought we were going to lose, because I just thought time was way over. I thought something might happen. And then when he put the ball down, blew the whistle, I was just filled with emotion, because in the previous years of the First 15, we'd always been knocked out of the semi-final, and it was just great, just amazing feeling, just having the school run on and actually being able to make the final this year.
Of course, there's a number of your locks commenting saying that yes, you're promoting them this evening, which you are. So well done, Francis. Of course, last few years, Town's got to the semi-finals and hasn't quite made it. So what was the sort of the big mental challenge going into last weekend to try and turn that around?
Yeah, I feel like we just had to. Our discipline was quite key, and just preparing for the game was really important. Just knowing our roles, what we needed to do, what we'd need to do to win, and just continuing staying in the fight. And yeah, so it turned out for the best in the end.
The Town First 15 had a pretty tough start to the season. Pre-season was a challenge, and then, of course, round one of the Premiership, you lost to Wellington College on traditional day. What was the instrumental change of fortunes for the team that turned it around?
Yeah, so big ups to Wellington College winning that game. All the boys were quite disappointed, and afterwards, when we went to the changing rooms, we all got together, and we realised that we weren't going to let that one game dictate the rest of our season. So from there, we just made a few adjustments, started some just added and tweaked a few little things, and I guess that's where it's brought us to us now. Just we're always looking to constantly improve.
You have one of the most experienced coaching lineups in First 15 rugby. Where do we start? We just got Ross Bond for a start. Of course, Ross been around the scene for many times. Tell us about the coaches that you have and the influence they've had on the playing group.
Yeah, so we have a great coaching staff, quite mixed. Yeah, they give all the players great individual information and sort of seal us all together. They really challenge us with our work that we put into not only school but rugby, and they really glued the team together with like heaps of learnings, and just constantly giving us new skills. Yeah.
So always expectations for when you play for the First 15, and the team seem to be doing well in their studies as well.
Yeah. They really strive for that, because I hate to say it, but in previous years it wasn't as good. But this year the boys have really knuckled down and sorted out the school stuff as well as the rugby.
The Scots game finished in a draw in a game that you probably should have won. It was played in very similar conditions to the Town traditional 3 weeks ago. And was that the turning point of the season for the team? Because you really muscled up and challenged the big Scots forwards.
Yeah, I feel like it was quite a big turning point. Maybe not the main one, but it was just probably because from previous years we'd been knocked out from Scots in the semi-finals quite often, or the games that we would play against them we would lose. And so to win that game, to draw that game, it really flipped the boys' side and gave the boys a lot of confidence within themselves and the team.
Since 2010, Town had not won the Old Boys traditional against Silverstream, which was last played at a muddy High Taito Park with former All Black Matt Proctor in the team. How did the team go about breaking the duck, and how did it feel to finally get over Silverstream in that traditional?
Yeah, the emotion from that game was just insane. The boys really put in the effort that week in preparing for the game, and made sure that we just sort of tweaked everything, made sure everything was good, and we just went into the game just like this could be our last chance at beating these guys, in this traditional, and we all wanted to make history. And we had a dinner the night before where we had a big talk about belief and how that would play a massive role in the game. And so the boys just stuck with the belief, kept on pushing through, and then finally, just had the amazing feeling of the whole school running on behind us, backing us the entire game. And it was just an amazing feeling.
Tell us about that dinner the night before, because I believe you had a TV personality as well that had a connection to an old boy.
Yeah, so with our traditional jerseys, each old boys can pay money to put their name in the jersey as a sort of legacy towards the school. And the number 15, he from previous years, he actually passed away, and he was a great friend. So I lost the speaker's name off the top of my head.
John Campbell, I think it was.
Yeah, Campbell, that's the one. He's a funny guy. So he was a really good friend of him, and his wife, who passed away. Oh, the man's wife who passed away. Oh, sorry. The man who passed away's wife presented the jersey and gave a talk, and just about his legacy within the school, how he was a great rugby player, and and that really sort of set the stone for the game for the following day.
Does the first 15 like puddles? And is the puddle still there at the eastern end of Evans Bay Park? Because you certainly loved splashing around at the end of the Silverstream traditional.
Yeah, I definitely think the boys like the puddles. It was a great jumping into it. I think it might leave a bit of a tradition, winning on the Evans Bay Park there. But the boys also play really well in the rain. So I think that was quite it leveled out the playing field quite a bit, that rain, and so just sort of embraced it at the end.
You first played for the first 15 in 2020, and who did you debut against?
I think it was the Wellington College traditional. So we had a few young guys playing that game, who are also now on the team, like Jeremiah Collins, Jordan Chapman, Salisa. So we won that traditional. It was a really good traditional. It was a really good first experience because it was quite nerve-wracking because we were all so young, playing in sort of the big boy leagues then, but they just supported me all the way, and then ended up scoring a try and then setting one up for Jordan Chapman as well, and it was a great start to a first 15 career.
Your family has a strong connection to St. Pat's Town. Tell us about the family connection.
Yeah, so my dad played for the first 15 when he went to St. Pat's Town. He played for it in year 10 all the way through, I'm pretty sure. And then my older brother played for the second 15, but then later he had to have surgery on his back because of some sort of reason. So that sort of set him out of the rugby field. So he ended up pursuing medicine, which he's now doing, and also joining the barbershop at St. Pat's Town. And I also had a cousin, Xavier English, who also played flanker and captained the first 15. And he went to play he made the under-18s Hurricanes team, and then went to play down in Dunedin, and he's now currently overseas.
You started as a fullback, and now you're playing mostly second 5 in the first 15. Why the change, and which position do you prefer?
To be honest, I'm not really entirely sure of the change. I think it started from last year when we just needed numbers in the midfield, and then it sort of just stuck with it quite a bit. I definitely prefer the fullback position. Just allows a lot more freedom to roam, and I feel like I can play my best game there. But nevertheless, I'll play anywhere, to be honest, as long as I'm on the field.
Let's talk about the forward pack for the first 15 and your captain, Jordan Chapman, because they really have been quite influential in a lot of your games this season.
Yeah, so our forward pack, we had a few questions around our forward pack at the start of the year as to how well they would do, but with a bit of coaching from our coaches who have pulled them a long way, that we have a really, really well connected forward pack now who have, I'd hate to say it, might have saved us backs from a few games, but yeah, they're definitely a really good side. And Jordan, who's captaining the whole team and also taking control of that forward pack, I'll follow that guy anywhere. He's brutal on the rugby field. He's a great classmate. He's really great.
When did you start first playing rugby and where?
So I first started out I actually live in Paraparaumu, so I played for Paraparaumu Rugby Club, and I think I joined around under 10s maybe, and then basically just stuck with it ever since. And then first year of college, I actually started at Kapiti College, and so I did my year 9 there, and then moved to St. Pat's because the rest of my family had gone to St. Pat's as well. So moved to St. Pat's and then just continued my journey of rugby from there.
Tell us about the culture of the brotherhood at St. Pat's Town, because it's rather special.
Yeah, brotherhood is definitely something that our school focuses on quite a bit. And I feel like in previous years, it wasn't as good as it always had been. But this year, it's definitely connected quite a lot more. It was a shame that we couldn't have McKivity last year and how it's been postponed this year. But the brotherhood, we can see it coming together with all our supporters on the sideline, even at school, just the older guys connecting with the new year nines. It's just great, yeah.
And you're not also pretty good at athletics as well. And how's the build-up for town going for McKivity? Because it's quite different this year. It's in September.
Yeah, there hasn't been much talk about McKivity, actually. I feel like the boys are more rocked up about this rugby and seeing how this final will go. But I'm sure as soon as rugby's done, like trainings will start kicking. Oh, I'm sure individuals are training right now, but as a school, we'll probably start training as soon as the rugby season's done.
What's your best game for the first 15?
Best game. It would probably be the game that the Wellington College Traditional in year 11. It was just amazing feeling just getting that win, having the whole school behind us. Obviously just playing a good game, and I reckon it really set the pathway to where I am now.
Who's your favourite rugby player and why?
Oh, I've always been a Dan Carter fan ever since I was young, and also Chiz Colby, just how his step was just amazing, and how he didn't have much size to him, but he could still take on the bigger guys and show up on the world stage, and just really, yeah, he really influenced me quite a bit because I'm not the biggest, so sort of look to him as sort of a guide.
What does 2023 have in store for Francis Mettrick?
I'm a bit unsure of where I'm going to be working, so that will also dictate where I play rugby. I've had a few offers from a few rugby clubs to just come join them and stuff, but no rep teams at the moment or higher level of rugby currently.
Silverstream again this Saturday in the grand final at Jerry Collins Stadium. Are you expecting them to strike back after the disappointment of their loss to you in the traditional? And will you be hoping that it's raining on Saturday?
Yeah, I definitely think they'll be coming. They'll be coming for us after their loss. But I have every faith in the team that we can pull through, keep our discipline. Discipline will be quite key for us in that final, because I feel like that's led the most games to a close game with us. And yeah, I definitely reckon they'll be gunning for us. And weather, yeah, I guess I sort of hope it rains, but either way, I know the boys can do the job. Yeah.
Well, Francis, St. Pat's Town has probably been the most improved team in the Premiership this season, and all the best for Saturday. We'll see you out there.
Cheers. Thank you very much for having me.
Francis Mettrick, midfielder for the St. Pat's Town first 15. As mentioned before, the most improved team in the Premiership this season, and they have justified their reasons why they are in the final against Silverstream. Now, speaking about Saturday, it's a triple header of rugby at Jerry Collins Stadium due to Bevana at Sky Stadium. Probably thought they could have had them there watching the rugby anyway. But therefore, they're having all three games at Jerry Collins Stadium at Pairua Park. And it kicks off at 11:35 with the Wellington Pride taking on the Bay of Plenty women's team. And that's a must-win for both sides, in particular the Pride, having lost to Manawatu Cyclones last weekend. They have to win this game pretty much to make sure they stay in the Premiership for 2023. And then following that is the Wellington Lions taking on the vastly improved Northland Taniwha at 2:05. And it's not every day that NPC plays curtain raiser to the first 15 rugby final. But at 4:15, St. Pat's Town take on St. Patrick's College Silverstream. And not only is that also going to be on Sky, but you can also watch that on Huddy Sports YouTube as well. Yes, we are going to be there, and we are looking forward to bringing you that game as well. You can also listen to the Farah Palmer Cup game and also the first 15 final on radio as well on Te Poko o Te Ika. So college rugby finals are also on Saturday, and they're out at Silverstream. So the whole first 15 and college rugby is coming to an end this weekend. And what a season it has been. And it's going to be an absolute stunner of a finish between two great brother schools and Marist Fathers schools. So that's the Huddy Hui for tonight. We'll see you next Wednesday for episode 65. Ciao for now.